have any questions during the time that I'm speaking, just feel free to interrupt me and ask me questions. Nothing too serious. You can always just let me know if you need anything or have any questions that pertains to you and the topic we're chatting about.
I have fun, PJ.
Yeah, of course.
What do employers think of candidates for jobs who text them with grammatical errors and no punctuation?
The employers are sending that to the students, or the students are sending that to the employers?
The students are sending that to the employers.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd want to appear professional on every level of communication you have, whether it's through email and text, handwritten. I think students, especially the younger ones, are used to kind of like the texting way of going about communicating, and I think emojis and non-uppercase or lowercase letters are definitely important. So I definitely think that's one of those arts that we got to go back to reinstating and making sure that when we're communicating professionally, that everything's written professionally as well.
Thank you.
What kind of pizza flavors do we got there?
Pizza? We've got plain and pepperoni, and if you were here, you'd have some.
Oh man, I'm sorry I missed it.
Oh, we have buffalo chicken and pepperoni.
Whoa, nice.
Oh, are you recording, right?
Yep, you're recording.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome everyone to Mentoring Mondays here at the LALCC. Today with us we have Paul Rosito. Paul Rosito is an experienced university career center director working at Central Connecticut State University with a demonstrated professional history of working in the higher education industry. Skilled in student development, team management, career coaching, recruiting, social media, training, academic advising, and employment relations. Strong student-centered and social services, professional with a bachelor's degree in marketing from Southern Connecticut State University and a master's of science focused in organizational management from Eastern Connecticut State University. Paul Rosito previously worked in the Center for Internships and Career Development at Eastern and has worked at CCSU for the last 7 years.
Thank you so much for that intro. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so my name's PJ. I work in the Career Development Office here at CCSU. I feel like I have one of the best jobs here on campus. I'm really just trying to help students be successful, plan their career, actually meet that goal or that finish line that they've been hoping for their entire life. So for me, it's very enjoyable, the job I do and the students that I work with, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about some of the different resources and things I could share with you that'll help you throughout your journey as an undergraduate or graduate student. So we help all students, students who have committed to the university, undergraduate students, graduate students. We actually can help you as alumni as well. So our services are actually free through the life of your professional career. So after you graduate, once you get that first or second job, and maybe you want to come back and get help with that third job, or you might want to kind of change the trajectory of your career, whether it's kind of the industry you're going into or the type of work you're doing, our office is available all to help you throughout that entire process. So if it's not right now, obviously, this is a pretty crazy time of the semesters with finals coming up next week, last week of classes, but we are open all year round. So if at any time during the winter break, even spring break or summer break, we're open. We're not just open during the semester, during when classes are in session. So we could do a virtual appointment. We could meet face to face, whatever is easiest for you. But just know that when things calm down, maybe when we hit winter break or when we do hit a summer break, that might be the best time for a student to kind of work on their career development plan, because it could get pretty crazy during that 16-week semester that you have to go through twice a year. So we are open. If you guys, hopefully you've noticed us, we're right at the beginning of the Willard de Loretto building, right there on the left. I don't know if you could see that guy kind of hanging out the door. That's Jim from our facilities department. And we're located right in the left. So a student can't graduate from CCSU and not acknowledge the fact that the Career Success Center is right in front of them when they come into this building. In the past, in our previous location, sometimes students would say, you know, a week or two before graduation, oh, we didn't even realize career development or career success was an office here on campus. And they can't say that anymore because luckily enough, we've been put in a centrally located area of the campus where Students will pass by our office regularly, and hopefully that reminds them that it's never too early to start developing your career development plan. And that goes for all of you too. I don't know where you guys are with your career development plan, but it's extremely important. No matter what year you're in, once you've committed to the university, I think it's important that you start considering a career development plan. So for most of us, it's important, especially during your first couple semesters. I'd say by the 30 to 45 credit mark, we want to make sure students are selecting the right major. We find that a lot of students actually change their major, maybe their third, fourth, or fifth semester into their college experience, and we'd like to stop that from happening. Anytime you change your major, as you may or may not know, that could add more time, money, and a lot more effort that you're going to have to put in to your undergraduate career. So we encourage students to maybe take a step back, feel comfortable with declaring themselves exploratory or undeclared, and then if they can, maybe wait to the 30 to 45 credit mark to then make the right major decision. We also think students should have some sort of part-time job or work experience, whether that means in high school or during your first semester or two here in college. I don't know if a lot of the students in the room have had jobs before, but if you haven't,
Most
I
of
think
them
it's
are working for the center, PJ.
awesome. I'm hoping that maybe my office maybe even assisted in that process of getting these students staffed in your area, but I'm glad to hear that everybody in the room is employed, which is great, because I do think that's one of those natural steps that we can now check off your list of things you need to get done. When I'm working with students who are kind of sophomore and junior and they still haven't kind of checked that box or had that experience, it's definitely difficult to kind of backtrack at that point. When we get to step 2, this is kind of like sophomore year, if you want to look at it like that. We want you to get involved, which you guys seem to be doing. We think it's important that students get involved in 1 or 2 clubs. One club that's associated with more of their major, and then maybe the other club that has to do with more of like fun or their interests or a hobby. 1 or 2 clubs looks really good on a resume, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. I also think anytime you see a volunteer community service opportunity pop up here at the university, I would take advantage of anything that sounds interesting. All the things that the university has to offer, no matter if you're a younger student or an upperclassman, all the things that you're doing here at the university, all can help give you experience, all things that you can add to your resume, all things you could talk about during an interview. So we're not just saying these things so you feel like you got a good college experience. We're doing these things to help you prepare for that next step. And these are all the things that when you do take that next step are going to become very important, either in your conversation, in written form on a resume, or when you talk about it to employers or future, grad schools. Now, one of the more important notes that I want to leave you with when we talk about this career development topic, and I want you to remember it, is I think every student needs to do at least 1 internship. And I'm drawing a big yellow line between step 3 and step 2 and 3 and 3 and 4. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I think it's critical that you do at least 1 internship before you graduate. And I think the perfect time to do that is the summer after your sophomore year or the summer after your junior year. And if you can complete at least 1, if not 2 internships, you're going to be in a real good situation when it comes time to start applying for positions. One of the biggest challenges I have when it comes to finding students a job are the students who've not done a pre-graduate work experience. Sometimes, depending on your major, like if you're a nursing major, you're a teaching major, education major, if you're in the sciences, you may actually have like student teaching or lab work and stuff kind of built into your program, which is great. That all adds to your experience. But there are certain majors that don't have that stuff built into the program. And I think it's extremely important that students seek out that professional experience. So whether it's working with my office or working with your academic advisor or working in the office you actually work in right now, it's important to set up an internship sometimes during the summer after a year or during a semester. Either way, I want you to remember this. You have to complete at least 1, if not 2 internships before you graduate. And in my mind, if you get to step 3 and 4 and have already completed an internship or 2, that's awesome. I really think every student should be using, if not that last semester, the last 2 semesters to figure out what their exit strategy is going to be. If you're looking to continue your education and go to graduate school, a lot of times you have to start applying to programs usually by October, November of the year before the fall semester. So that just shows right there that you need to start almost 9 months in advance if you want to go to grad school. Now, if you're looking for a full-time job, I think you probably want to start looking about a semester in advance. And I think anytime you're looking for an internship or a full-time job, you should be using at least a semester, if not an entire season, to execute that strategy. So I don't know if you guys are in accounting or finance, but a lot of the good accounting and finance students a lot of times have jobs locked up by like Christmas time of the year that they're going to graduate in May. I think every student should take that approach. Why not start looking for a full-time job, if not a full semester before you graduate? I would think that if you're a good candidate, you're a good student, you would probably want to lock yourself up a little early too, if you could. So I think if you can, using that entire last semester too, to pursue that full-time job, that continuing education or a service learning project is extremely important. Now, when it comes to internships and co-ops, and I did want to dedicate an entire slide to this because I think it's that important, I think you should all be looking for, when the time comes, a paid internship. I think sometimes like the stereotype of an intern kind of like running around and like getting everybody coffee or lunch and not getting paid and kind of being kind of disrespect in the workplace, I think is gone. What I have seen, especially nowadays, is an intern going into an office and adding value to a company, really doing important work, being mentored. And I honestly think that if you are a CCSU student and you are adding value to a company, I think you should be looking for a paid internship. I think that should be priority number one. Now, sometimes if you get academic credit here, and I do want you to talk to your individual academic advisors ahead of time, but you could earn academic credit by doing an internship. And sometimes you can get paid for those and sometimes you can't. But I want you to clarify, if you are interested in doing an internship, I want you to talk to your academic advisor and see how that would fit into your curriculum, and then see what the responsibilities would be when it comes to the requirements that an internship offers. Marianne, did you want to talk? I don't know if she's there. I don't know if she wanted to talk a little bit about the internships and what your expectations are when you're working with students, but you guys offer.
It really depends. I mean, the history department and history and political science and international studies have very active internship programs that are usually for second semester juniors or first semester seniors, yep. Right? And they're credit bearing, usually by unpaid, right? Okay. But we've had people do important work and or get jobs right out of their internships. I'm sure the students here have heard me say more than once that it was a CCSU International Studies, Latin American Studies major who took her research methods class and put it to work for the Connecticut legislature doing research on for the undocumented driver's license bill and also for the undocumented student access to higher education bills. I mean, they didn't write the bill language, but they did the research behind. It was Leslie Navarrete, who's going to be here next spring. And she was the first person that made me understand how valuable the legislative internships can be, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's great experience.
Yeah, in the history department, we place people with the Connecticut Historical Society, with the Connecticut State Library, with national parks, with local historical societies, and people get jobs out of it. In fact, we have more requests for interns than we have people interested, than we have people to assign.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. But it's a lot of work. It's 100 hours.
Yep.
Plus a class. I mean, plus an hour class meeting. And it's primarily because many times students come in thinking that if you major in history or say English or whatever, the only thing that you could do with that major is become a teacher. And they don't necessarily want to be a teacher. And this is a way to help them understand what the broad range of employment is.
Yeah, I mean, an internship's good in some ways, and I think kind of opens up your mind to thoughts on the other. I mean, an internship can kind of tell you what you don't want to do compared to what you want to do. I think just getting your feet wet, getting your hands dirty, putting yourself in the field, making connections, seeing what it's like, kind of getting a peek behind the curtain is exactly what an internship offers. As you can see, doing an internship for credit is an awesome opportunity. The history department obviously has a bunch of opportunities. You can go and check with your academic advisor. We can help depending on if you're a history major or not, but whatever that means when it comes to what you're looking for with regards to experience, we would love to help you to get to that step.
So here in the room, we have media studies,
Great.
IT, right? Information technology engineering. Yeah, we have journalism, we have psychology and marketing.
So, I mean, it seems like a lot of the majors in that room, there's a ton of opportunities. And I'm actually looking forward to, in a couple slides later, showing you guys Handshake. I'm hoping, you've probably heard about it. I'm hoping you activated your account. And if you haven't, I'm hoping you can activate it for me soon. I pretty much have an account set up for every CCSU student and alumni. All they have to do is just kind of go and log in. And once they log in, they'll see all the great opportunities they have available. And if there's any students in this room who are looking for an internship soon or interested in an internship, I think right now, if you're going to look at kind of like timeline, there's still an opportunity to do like a spring internship, but it's very, very late in the game. I'd say you're going to start seeing a lot of summer things if they haven't already been posted, probably posted between now and February 1st, March 1st, April 1st, and companies are going to be looking to fill summer internships at this point. And then once we get to post Christmas break, we get well into the spring semester, then you're going to start seeing fall things be posted. So really try to think a whole semester or season in advance when it comes to your career plan. And if you are ever looking for a part-time internship, full-time, you should be considering at least 3 to 4 months in advance. And when it comes to planning, I think for most students I work with, the first question I have is, do you have a resume? And if you don't, that's okay. I think it's kind of easy to get caught up at this point. I do think if you're closer to a sophomore, junior, and don't have a resume, you should definitely get to work on one. If not, first thing, once the finals are over. If you're a younger student, maybe a first-year student, I'd say let's get a good resume together if you don't have one. And if you're an older student, you should probably have one at this point. If not, I have tons of templates. My advice would be if you can just kind of pop everything you can remember into your resume. And when I mean remember, I really want you to kind of look back into everything you did in high school, even any job you might have had, no matter how small or large. I do want you to put it in your resume. And if at any point you wanted me or my team to look over your resume, we're usually really good about getting your critiqued resume back to you within 24 to 48 hours. So this is my pile right here. It's actually very, you can't see me, but a thick pile of resumes. I usually critique about 2 to 3 a day, and I actually still enjoy doing it. So if you did have any resume questions, I also think it's important.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Based on, let's say a student does repeated seasonal work for a company, how would they do that for the timeline in the resume?
Yeah, so like let's just say you did summers, you could do summer 2019, comma, summer 2021, summer 2022, you know what I mean? You could just put commas instead of dashes when it comes to the dates that you're doing on the far right side.
Okay.
And I would be as transparent as possible, but we don't have to go out of our way to say seasonal position. We would just make sure the dates kind of represent what we did. Sometimes students like to list part-time, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week. We don't have to go out of our way to say how little or small the job is. I think part-time and full-time is good enough when it comes to the explanation. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you are able to go back to this company consecutive years or seasons, I think is a good look when it comes to what your resume would look like. I mean, to see you're going back to a place to work consecutively, I think is a good thing. Good question.
Right. So PJ, if
Yeah.
ever you wanted to come over here sometime,
I would love to.
you can figure out a time when there are a fair number of students around and have everyone like finalize their resumes, and because we've got a little computer lab here, right?
Yeah, that'd be great. We could do a little workshop. What I can do is come over. I could share my template with everybody, or I can look at whatever anybody has already completed, and we can literally just kind of work on it together. I actually did that 2 times in a class last year, last week.
I'm getting nods, like yes.
Perfect. I saw the okay. Sounds good. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, so we'll use this as like kind of a springboard to maybe this workshop whenever you guys want to put this on.
Okay.
Awesome. Love that.
Yes. Aha.
Cool.
Yes. Make it so, number one. It's
Circle
a Star Wars reference.
Circle it and underline it.
Star Trek, Star Wars. The Star Trek reference.
If anybody is ever looking to select a major, and again, if you're in your sophomore, junior, senior year, you probably have your major decided, but we also have this tool called Focus 2 that actually can help you pick a major and or an occupational title. So I know that there was a psychology major in the room. A lot of times if that psychology major is looking for a full-time job or an internship, you're not going to just go to these job search sites and type in psychology, right? You want to know the job titles that kind of fall under the psychology field. So what Focus 2 can really help you do is, if you are kind of already know what industry or major you want to work under, but you're unsure what occupational titles would relate to that, Focus 2 really helps you with that. So what Focus 2 actually does is it measures your interests, your skills, and your values through a number of like little quizzes. It's going to be like cats or dogs, or yes or no, or sun or moon. And then after you answer all these questions, this or that, it's going to spit out a list of occupational facts, majors, salary history, different responsibilities that relate to the jobs that popped out. And again, this might not be an end all be all, but it could be a good idea of something you might not have thought of before. It could be a major. Oh, I didn't realize that's a thing, or a major, or that topic fell under that field. Or it could be, oh, I never thought of that job or that job title. So Focus 2 is really awesome for that if you are unsure.
So PJ, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Lots of students think that there's a direct correlation between kind of all majors and all jobs. Like if you want to work in business, you need a business degree, or if you want to work in teaching, right? And they sort of think that majoring in the liberal arts is a ticket to never earning any money.
Not true. I think it's I think it's all about how you look at it and how you present it. I mean, if you're going to be an accountant or in finance, you're probably going to be an accountant. You're probably going to be accounting major or a finance major. But again, I think when it comes to the liberal arts and the majors that kind of don't necessarily lead to a direct correlation with one job title, I think it comes with the fact that it's supplying you with that skill. It's giving you that skill that you could then bring to a business or a nonprofit or charity work or a big business. I think it's all about how you present the thing. So that's why I think internships are even more important, because if you're a psychology major, but you don't want to be like a psychologist, which would be the first thing that someone would think a psychology major would do, you bring that whole psychology mindset or mind frame into the business perspective or into whatever type of work you're doing. So I think it's all about how you're presenting it, what you're interested in, and how you're going to use that skill that you learned within your major and how you're going to apply it to the stuff you're interested in. So I don't know if that kind of
I mean, there's a direct pipeline between the CCSU English department,
right,
and the management programs at Travelers.
Yes, there is.
One of the top people at Travelers was an English major at CCSU.
Yeah.
So if you need to know how to do accounting, then you should be an accounting major. You're going to make a bunch of money probably right out of school. But that's all you're trained to do. Yeah. Right. On the other hand, English majors and history majors, philosophy majors get the best grades on the law school entrance exam and the business management entrance exams. And so you find a lot of people in law and in advanced business programs with philosophy majors, the one that everybody thinks is the most impractical one on the planet. But it actually teaches you how to read, how to analyze arguments, and how to think through problems, right? And so, which is not to say that if you want to major in IT or you want to major in business, you shouldn't, right? It's just that one doesn't have, sometimes the combination of like, say, an English major and a business minor or a marketing minor or the other way around, yeah, can be really effective that way, yeah?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think there's no direct route. I think it's what you're passionate about and what you're kind of selling yourself, your personal brand, what you're interested in, your background, your experience. I mean, I think those three things kind of make up what you'd want an employer to know when it comes to why you're valued in the company. So yeah, great point. I'm glad we were able to touch on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it makes me kind of nuts. Well, what makes me crazy, so it's kind of my experience, right? So I was a Spanish major and my family was like, well, you're going to be a Spanish major, you'll be a teacher. Well,
Right.
I never wanted to be a school teacher, not ever. As they know here, I despise being at work at 7:30 in the morning. I mean, I'm at work at home, but I'm not here at 7:30 in the morning, right? I don't ever want to be. I like being a professor, but it's a very different kind of job than the K through 12, right? And it took me until I was 26 to figure out that I could do something different.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all grow up thinking a teacher is one thing, right? We think they're sitting in a classroom, they have, third grade class, a fifth grade class. I never knew I would be in the role that I'm in right now when I was growing up. I mean, what's better than working with, the best and brightest college students in the state, 18 to 22, and all I'm doing is trying to help them focus and realize their goals and meet those goals. So just keep your
I
eyes
didn't
and ears.
realize my job existed.
Yeah. And I don't know if the students in this room will even know that the job that they're going to eventually be in exists right now too. So I think you kind of gotta follow your passion. You gotta follow what really interests you. And I think if you do those two things and you get experience, I mean, it's a win-win situation.
PJ, can you access the Focus 2 online? Can students
Yeah.
access it online?
Yeah, let me show you. Let me actually show you real quick. Actually, that might be a good time to jump over to there we go. We'll go to my website. All right, so here's the career development website. We are in the process of updating it for the spring. It's ccsu.edu/CSC for Career Success Center, or CDO for Career Development. Either way works. If I could have everybody in the class at some point, whether it's now or later on your cell phone, just click on this red handshake link. Once you click on that red handshake link, what it's going to do, it's going to ask you for your central email login credentials. So whatever your,
Got it?
email address is.
Jojo, do you have it?
And then,
Yeah, Bella?
yeah, so that'd be great if you guys can activate it. And then what's great is it'll ask you, are you looking for a job currently? Where are you looking? What type of job? And then just like kind of like a dating website, when you pop in there, it's going to try to show you things that match up with your skills and interests and abilities. And whether it's on-campus positions or internships or full-time jobs, I think it's going to be a valuable tool that you'll eventually need at some point, whether it's now or in the future. But to go back to your original question, so going on our main site, if you just kind of scroll to the bottom, we have all the resources here in this kind of like this lively, colorful area. So if you click on the Focus 2, it kind of gives you a rundown of how it works. But what you really want to focus on are this instructions right here, including the access code. When they ask you for the access code, you're going to type in Blue Devil, all one word. And then as long as you kind of follow this format, as well as the other formats, everything is completely free that we're offering you. Yeah. So that'd be the way you take the Focus 2. Show you a couple more things before I jump into Handshake with you. If you ever did want more information, so we know that a lot of students might not necessarily want to sit down and meet with us, but we want to make sure all resources and information is available to anybody at their fingertips. So we have this huge Candid Career online library of people giving testimonials as to what it's like to work at places, as well as people who are giving you tips and tricks on your career background, including the stuff we do: resume writing, interview techniques, networking, salary negotiation, all that fun stuff. Grad school
And how to
But when
prepare for interviews?
Yeah, so that's one of the bigger things. So when I'm meeting with students, I'm usually helping them with like their job search, internship search, and their application packet, which is their resume and cover letter, which we'll talk about in a couple. But then the next most popular meeting that I have with students is preparing for interviews. And Big Interview is the best possible tool you can use when it comes to practicing. It'll actually allows you. Let me raise your hand if you can't hear this.
Are you nervous about your next interview?
We're good?
It can be really tough to sell yourself and stand out, especially with so many tough questions to answer. That's why we developed Big Interview, a proven system for better interview prep. Big Interview was developed by top interview expert Pamela Skillings. She's helped thousands of clients ace their interviews and land their dream jobs. Now you can learn proven and tested ways to truly impress hiring managers. Pamela will teach you how to be an amazing candidate and coach you through exercises that have helped thousands of her clients. She'll help you anticipate tough questions, prepare your sales pitch, and show up confident and ready. And most importantly, Coach Pam will guide you through practicing with Big Interview's cutting-edge mock interview tool. Don't waste your next career opportunity. It's hard enough to get an interview. Try the Big Interview system today, and you'll be ready to land your dream job.
This was one of those things I used to use when I worked at Eastern, and then when I came over and realized Central didn't have it, I thought this would be a great opportunity to bring it over. And like you saw from the video, it has thousands of questions for you to kind of practice from. You got general over here. If you're going to grad school, you got admissions questions, top 10 questions, competency, industry, and then you're going to pick up to 10 per practice session. The question that you pick is going to be asked of you by a video recording. And then it's going to give you a 3, 2, 1 countdown over here, and then it's going to give you an opportunity to record your answers. Once you've gone through and recorded all of your answers for every one of the questions, it's going to then record it and catalog it for you in your own personal account, which will allow you to go back through and review each of the recordings for your eye contact, your your likes, your body language, just to kind of give you an idea of what it's like to verbally talk out loud and formulate your answers. I think that's probably one of the more important tips when it comes to practicing for an interview, is not just kind of studying the content and material that you want to talk about and present, but I think it's important that you actually verbally hear yourself speak out loud.
So I'm on a search committee, PJ, here at the university.
Yeah.
One of the candidates for the position only made eye contact with one person in the committee.
Oh, geez.
It was really bad. And didn't make eye contact with didn't pay any attention to any of the women in the room.
Wow. And that's alarming. So yeah,
the committee had been going to go forward. I was all set to like burn the house down. But it turned out we were all turned out it was so bad that everybody noticed it.
Yeah, you almost got to make all your interviewers feel like they're the most important person in the room, even if there's 10 of them. My advice would be to kind of use them talk to them using their name. I usually have a pad in front of me and I'll write down each of the people's names that are in front of me. So when I am talking about them, I throw their name and sprinkle their name in. The more you do that in a conversation, the more people naturally kind of gravitate towards you and kind of pay more attention. So yeah, you got to make sure.
Right, and when you're nervous, it's easy to forget things like your own name, let alone anybody else's.
And that's why you got to make sure you prepare well in advance. So if you do ever have an interview come up, definitely let myself or my office know at least a couple days in advance. This isn't one of those things you could just kind of prepare for in one night. I kind of want to build up with you. So if you can give us at least 2 or 3 or 4 nights in advance, so we can tell you what to do, you can prepare in advance so you know what to expect. And then just like Marianne was saying, if you're nervous, that's actually an okay thing. It actually tells me that you find that you're taking this seriously, you put some work in, so you've got an investment. But it's the students who kind of go in and try to wing it or think it's all going to work out just by not preparing. And usually that's not the case. So you definitely need at least a handful of days to prepare and kind of layer how you want to go about, doing as best as you can possibly do. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for people that have trouble looking at people's eyes.
Yeah.
Because they might be on the spectrum, and sometimes that is something like that happens to them. They can look at the nose or in between their eyebrows.
Yeah, there's tricks. You gotta,
Right.
so you have to, so yeah, you're right. You have to almost be
That wasn't
self-aware.
the citizen's problem.
You have to almost be self-aware to know that you're not doing that. So you hope that somebody like gives you a tip or tells you after, maybe you get some feedback. If you did a mock interview, you might not know that you're that person not looking at somebody or, so yeah, and there's tricks around that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. You can kind of look at the bridge between their nose. You can kind of look right between their eyebrows. When it comes to virtual interviewing, which is another thing that's becoming more and more relevant in the interview world, a lot of employers are doing those first round of interviews virtually. It just saves them time, money, energy. You get to really know somebody virtually too. So all the whole virtual technology etiquette now comes into play too. Like, are you sharing your screen? How is the lighting in the room? Is your technology good?
What's in the background?
What's in the background? If you're a Red Sox fan, you probably don't like the Yankee stuff I have behind me. And you know what I mean? So it's all about kind of thinking ahead, thinking in advance, making sure your dog's not coming in the room or your son or daughter is kind of jumping on your lap or something like that. So there's a lot of kind of things you need to take into account. And that's why I think if you have at least 3 or 4 days in advance, we can go over all the things that could go wrong and make sure that we prevent that from happening well in advance. All right, so got a couple more minutes. Let me show you a few more things. These are the 4 career fairs that we have coming up for the spring semester. We're excited to be one of the first schools to have a career fair in the spring. We want to kind of be intentional about getting employers on campus first and early. So our all majors general career fair will be the 14th. And for those students who are maybe liberal arts majors, this is the perfect fair for them. At the closer to the end of February, we have an engineering, manufacturing, construction management career fair. In March, we're going to have our business career fair, and in April, we're going to have our education career fair. So those are the 4 things coming up. Let me show you. Let me pop this. Let me share this. Let me transition seamlessly to this. All right. So let me show you a couple things on our website. So we did talk about those resources in the bottom, including the handshake link. But one of the more important things I want to show you is this under this job resources tab. We have a couple things that are important. One, there's a lot of job search websites out there, and we want to kind of give you the ones that we endorse or back. Handshake being the first place, and we'll take a look at that in a second. I love Glassdoor.com. This is a really good website because I think it gives a good idea of what it's like to work at the company, both good and bad. This company allows people to give testimonials as to what it was like to interview somewhere, what they make at a company, what they like about working at the company. LinkedIn, which a lot of you guys probably think about LinkedIn as being kind of like your professional profile, but LinkedIn actually has a really good job search database that I enjoy. ZipRecruiter is good. I like Indeed. You've probably heard about Indeed.com. They have a lot of commercials out there. Google for Jobs is a really good one. My advice for all of you, when the time comes to look for an internship or job, your goal should be looking for your first or second thing you're interested in. And then once you find that first or second job or internship you're interested in, let's work with my office to show you how to put together the best professional profile you can, which would include a resume, a cover letter, maybe even references. And then once we show you how to apply correctly the first or second time you apply, you'll get in a good habit of knowing how to apply correctly. And then hopefully we get an interview out of that. Go ahead.
Does your office also help students, properly set up a LinkedIn profile, as in the do's and don'ts, the nuances of the LinkedIn profile?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was the next thing I'm going to. Thanks for the segue. So we're going to, if you guys look under this career and professional guides, we have a LinkedIn guide right here.
It's not updated yet.
Can you guys see? Is this LinkedIn guide not updated? So this LinkedIn, so we have this LinkedIn kind of ultimate cheat sheet. That's a nice 7-step, like easy follow. So like a couple things, like your LinkedIn web address should be a nice clean link instead of the one they give you originally. So you have to update that. And then how you do your headline and what types of headshots are better than others and how you can get your profile viewed 14 more times than somebody else. The background, the summary, the experience. So this is all, if you can just follow this step by step and make sure everything that you have on your LinkedIn profile represents. Well,
last 3 months.
what was that?
I'm like, it's a whole month worth of work.
So maybe this is a good like wintertime project, or maybe sometime in the summer. But I would think for any student who's either going to be looking for a job or internship soon, I think you'd want to be able to know that if you're Googled, LinkedIn's going to probably show up in the top 1, 2, or 3 searches if you're searched by name. And if you are on LinkedIn, you want to have your LinkedIn profile be as updated and as professional as possible. And I think this guide helps you do that. So LinkedIn guide definitely helps. But then let me show you real quick, as we have a few more minutes. I want to give you guys an idea of what Handshake looks like if you're let's do it. So let's go here. Let's type in Handshake. Let's go log in. All right, so you guys are probably going to see what it looks like from my administrative view, but I'll jump over to what the student's view looks like. So as students, when you log on, it's going to look something like this. This is what your landing page would look like. And when you first log on,
you don't see anything, PJ, you need to share it.
You're right. Let's see if I can. How about now?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, cool. So this is your landing page. When you guys first log on, your profile is going to automatically ask you certain questions. These are the questions. Are you currently looking for a job? What types of jobs are you looking for? What location are you looking in? What types of job titles or roles? And then what type of industries? And then once you fill that out, every time you log on, your landing page is going to try to connect you with either roles that are perfect for you or somewhat perfect for you. Going to try to throw them out there, whether it's new things or expiring things or things you might have saved. And there's a ton of opportunities here. So I would encourage you to fill that out as fast as you can, because then you can start getting things kind of thrown your way. You'll even get stuff emailed to you. But in addition to that, if you actually just click on jobs and go over to the job database, I know I heard somebody was a marketing major in here. So if you clicked on internship and then you clicked on location, New Britain, 15 miles, let's do 15 miles from New Britain, and then we type in marketing. Let's see what we got here. So it looks like there's 55 opportunities that has fallen under this search. Middletown has a marketing internship. Glastonbury has a marketing internship. Newington, Hartford, a remote internship. Rocky Hill, Windsor. So if I was that student in this room and I need an internship and I'm a marketing major, I'm going to probably go through and try to find my 2 or 3 favorite opportunities after I look through each of the job descriptions and see what's best, who's paying, who's not, where it's located, what type of work I'm doing. And then my thought would be I would probably then want to work with my office to put together the best application packet, resume and cover letter, and then we'll apply to it. And then you do it again with the next thing. And if you could apply to 2 to 3 things a week, you should eventually start getting some callbacks in the next few weeks. And then if you do, we'll help prepare you for the entire interview process. Additionally, there are a ton of events that employers put on. You can see there's actually some pretty reputable companies in here. Liberty Mutual, AmeriCorps, the FBI, Habitat for Humanity, Pro Football Hall of Fame, KPMG, JP Morgan Chase. All of these opportunities are available to you as students to connect with these companies. And then you have a database of, I think, over 821,000 employers. So if it was ever your dream to work at Stanley Black & Decker or ESPN or Pez, one of these cool companies that's from the state of Connecticut, you could then follow these companies, and then every time opportunity pops up or becomes available, it's going to try to throw it in your face and hope that you apply and become a good candidate for that position. So
I have a dream foundation. Cool.
Yeah, so I know we're right up against the time. Do you guys have any questions? I'm hoping that was kind of a good rundown. Hope I inspired you a little bit to get a little move on with your career development plan, whether it's this winter. What was that?
I have a quick question about Handshake.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
So I know that I go on Handshake sometimes and I look at some of the like jobs or internships, and they have like deadlines that are way out of like 2 years from now. Do you know why they have that?
Yeah, so that's a rolling admissions process where they're like they're pretty much hiring people all the time.
All the
So
time.
so if it was an internship, I would always assume it's for the next season or semester. But yeah, I mean, Travelers has a cohort that comes in every fall, spring, and summer, fall, spring, and summer. So it wouldn't make sense for them to kind of like close that down and then open it again, close it down. They just want to it's like an open application period, I guess.
All right, I see.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys.
So PJ, if nobody else is going to ask, I got a question.
Okay, good.
How can students figure out, is there a way to help students understand what, say, the long-term advancement possibilities might be at a company? So say you start as, whatever, and yeah.
Yeah, like the natural professional progression.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to do that. So that website, glassdoor.com, what I would do is I would look and see what the company's entry-level positions were. And then obviously there'd probably be a jump up to that 1 to 3 years of experience level and then you got the 3+ to 5 years. So yeah, I'd almost kind of go into a company's website. My advice would be to maybe look at an organizational chart and just kind of see how the different structure process works with regards to promotion, and just maybe even see if a person started there, where did they start on? Have they been promoted in the last 5 to 10 years? You can obviously look at salary figures. There's a lot of good websites out there that give the national salary numbers as well as the regional, which we're one of the higher regions in the country. So that's always good news when it comes to pay. But yeah, so I'd probably have to take each request like that individually, but yeah, I would be more than happy to kind of backtrack and see how an entry-level role can progress into hopefully a senior or high-level management role down the road.
Okay, and is there a way in any of these websites to figure out what the benefits package looks like because sometimes you have to trade off, salary for benefits or,
Yeah.
the other way around.
So I don't have any websites off the top of my head.
Less benefits and vice versa.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. You would think that there would be some sort of website out there that kind of lays out benefits. That's one of the things that's a lot of times people have challenges when they go to new companies understanding what the package is that they're accepting. I know even here is, do I take this A or do I take B or do I take the hybrid C? So yeah, I typically will reach out if I'm working with a student to help with their negotiation process. I'll either reach out or have a student reach out to their HR department and try to have them give us any materials that helps us understand the process easier. And then if I have any questions, we ask those questions ahead of time, just so when we do get into the nitty-gritty about are we going to take this position or not, we want as much information as possible. But I think that's the biggest thing when I'm working with students is a lot of times their main focus is salary, like how much money I'm going to make, how much money am I going to make, how much money am I going to make. But I think what's even a bigger value is the insurance, the health insurance, the 401k, the time off. I know my buddy just got
my nephew, who works for Amazon Web Services, just got paternity leave of, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks, something like that, when their daughter was born, right?
Yep. My buddy just got a job in the system office, and he's working home 4 days a week and only 1 day a week in the office. I mean, I think people would go back and restructure their entire agreement if they could work from home. You know what I mean? So there's so many other things that go into it besides salary. So yeah, I guess the short of it is I don't have any resources I can specifically send you right now. But if we had to, I would literally like get my hands dirty and dig in with a student to figure out what the information is that we needed to know to be prepared as possible when asking for a certain dollar amount.
It also has the option to talk to people from that company.
You can definitely.
And things can change, right?
Yeah.
But I like to ask my advisees, like especially when they start getting closer to graduation, right? Where they see themselves in 5 or 10 years, right?
Yeah,
Not necessarily from a job perspective, but like, do you want to have a family?
Right.
Do you want to live? Do you have a family already? Do you want to have a family? Do you, where do you want to live? Do you want to live in the city? Do you want to live in the suburbs? Yeah.
Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to build a house?
Right. things. I mean, it makes a big difference in terms of like not only career planning, but what jobs you take.
Yeah, how far are you commuting to work? I mean, think about gas in a car. I mean, if you're close to work, some people walk if they're in a bigger city. Some people like take, public transportation,
Now, I live where I live in part because I had lots of friends in New Haven when I moved back to Connecticut. Yeah. But I thought about trying to commute from New Haven to New Britain on 91 every day. And I saw myself late for class.
Yep.
And splat on the highway. I was like, like how many car accidents am I going to be in, and how many times am I going to be late for work? And I was like, I can't do that. And I have the same length commute now. It's like a half an hour, 35 minutes, but it's just, on Route 4.
I mean, when we were home for those, few months in the pandemic, getting the extra hour and a half back in my life each day was crazy. It's like, it's almost like you get a whole extra day on top of,
I had to go shopping when we came back to work because I didn't have any shoes or pants that I could wear. I wore jeans the whole time. I pretty much wore what I have on, but the jeans were really ratty.
Yeah.
And grungy, because you just had to have something on that looked good on camera, and
right.
Anyway. So thank you, PJ.
Thanks, Marianne. Thanks for having me. I hope everybody learned at least something. And if you ever need anything, you know where we're located now, and I look forward to working with all of you at some point.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
so we'll be in touch to schedule that, like resume thing.
He's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
So was this the same presentation he's done before? Okay. All right, everybody. So let's schedule him to.